Hello everyone. Today is day 17 of 21 days to facing fear, releasing fear of the future. And the request for this is, which I think probably a lot of people can relate to, especially in the current world and pandemic, is being released from your job, let go. And it also, if your age is up there, so to speak, here in the United States too, other than I know you're in Switzerland who requested this, the mature age isn't, it's not revered here at all. In fact, it's very often like, oh, send them out to pasture. But a couple things I want to share. My sister, a couple years ago, got her most highest paying job in a job that she really loves, and in her 60s. So she was like, had this exact same fear that this could be like, oh my God, this is never going to happen for me. And in our culture that doesn't revere age. So it's just she also had a really good friend who got the same thing like a month before her. Best paying job ever, job he loved the most, at the old, into his 60s, and unheard of. So to me, the beauty is, regardless of Switzerland, regardless of the age, regardless of that, regardless of any of that, what we want to do is we want to tap on the fear, because there's something so much deeper, and just open to the possibility as we release the fear, or you don't even have to release it. As you soothe and mellow the fear, that's the beauty. You don't have to be completely free of the fear. You could just be managing the fear. You can be attending to the fear. And as you're attending to the fear, we open up to possibility. And this is where I tell everyone, I'm not here to tell anyone what to believe from a spiritual perspective, but I think many of us can even believe that there's a wiser part of ourselves, a part of ourselves that's more tuned in, whether you believe in God, the universe, the great spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. But this is when, to me, when we go back, we use tapping to free ourselves from the emotions that we get caught in as a human being. It opens us back up to greater possibility. So could it be possible that the wiser self, God, the universe, great source, can trump any system, anything, opens us up to greater possibilities than any system that we live in? Could that be a possibility? So let's tap on the fear, and then let's see where this goes. So karate chop. Even though I have this existential fear, this really deep fear, I got released from this job, and I'm 56. And where I live, that's like the death of your career. I choose to acknowledge this fear right now. Even though this fear is so much deeper, I've got to get more work. Everything could fall apart if I don't. No wonder I'm afraid. I choose to acknowledge my feelings now. Even though I have such a deep fear here. I'm 56. I got let go from my job. And where I live, that's the death of your career. But I'm open to seeing this differently now. As I honor all my feelings deeply and completely. And go to the eyebrow. This is the death of my career. I'm 56. And in the country I live in, that's the death of your career. And if I don't get more work, everything can fall apart. And this is a deep existential fear. And here's the thing. I don't have to be free of this fear. I can just manage it. And that's enough to create positive, lasting change. And that's a relief. And kind of good news. So when I catch myself circling the drain with my thoughts, this is a disaster. This is terrible. Everything's going to fall apart. What if I can wake up to who's running my show? That's the bully in my brain, serving me up a banquet table of bad news. Worst case scenario. I mean, you're 56. You gotta pack it all up. And when I catch that bully in my brain feeding me the shit show, that's the perfect time to interrupt. This pattern of thinking, because I am not my thoughts. Thoughts fire off. And I can't stop my thoughts. Nor do I have to. But I can interrupt them when I catch them. And I slow the momentum of the shit show I'm being served up. And then I start to notice, this doesn't feel so shitty. I don't feel so desperate. It doesn't feel quite so impossible. And that is evidence that I am changing my physiology and changing what's possible for me. So what if the perfect solution for this is already chosen? What if I was released from this job because there's something so much greater coming to me? And I've just made the space for this to happen. And if what I need hasn't shown up yet, what if I'm meant for some downtime? and some rest. And when I feel that fear kicking in again, I can catch that bully in the act, interrupt it. And that's the best thing I can do for myself. Because the best can be yet to come for me. What if the best is coming to me? And trusting this takes practice. And that's okay. But all I've got to do right now is remember I am not my thoughts. Who's running my show right now? And interrupt the negative thoughts, which opens me up to greater possibility. So take a breath. These things always give me relief, and I will tell you, it is a process. It's a process. As I'm a number 7 in the numerology, which is trust issues, and my husband is too. Hilarious. So trust is not the thing that for me has been like, oh, I just trust and everything's going to be okay. It's been such a journey and such a process. And as a human being on this planet, in this culture, I just trust that everything's okay. It's not taught to us. In fact, the opposite is, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I love all these things. Like when you hear, I don't know what you hear in Switzerland, but in the United States, you'll hear these things like, you've got to make a full-time job out of finding a job. And I would tell you, when you hear that, how's that make you feel? For me, it would make me feel like crap. And that's the voice of the ego, the bully, that's like, you've got to make a full-time job out of it. And the bully's like, you're 56, you got let go. In Switzerland, that's never going to happen. I mean, you hang up your stirrups or whatever it is. That's when we catch that voice and go, oh my God, like I'm not my thoughts. I was hiking with my dog this morning. Oh my God. I had this whole story all of a sudden, like playing off in my head about my daughter and her dad traveling. And all of a sudden I caught it. And I, because it's my personality, was like, oh my God, there's the bully in my brain feeding me the shit show, like the absolute shit show. I have to tell it to fuck off. That's what and I'm just like, oh, get out of my head. You don't get to rent space in my head. That might not be your way, but to catch that. And the thing that happens for me when I do that is that voice quiets. So it's to remember, I am not my thoughts. Who's running my show? You know, and again, I'll run through this quickly. That punitive voice that you're 56 and in Switzerland, it's never going to happen. And it's out of, you're hang it up. It's never going to happen. That's the bully. And then the child, to me, the inner child, the wounded child, the one that's like, oh God, I'm so terrified. It's never, I'm not going to be okay. It's not going to work out. And if you just know who's running the show, you can start to separate. Eckhart Tolle talks about this so perfectly. I am not my thoughts, and you start to separate from them. And then you create space, which creates this opening to other possibilities. And then the other thing is, every time that fires off like you're 56 and in Switzerland, could it be whatever you believe is a power greater than yourself can trump any single transit? I always feel weird saying that word right now, but can overcome any of that? Could it be possible that there's so much more possible for us as we learn to soften that voice that's feeding us the shit show, and then we open up to possibility? So Paula, great to see you here live. Julie, great to see you. And if you found this helpful, you can tap on it as many times as you need to, and then we'll see you back here tomorrow, day 18. All right, and thank you for the topic. Take good care. Bye for now.